Hey everybody, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. That's right, you got it. Anyway, I'm continuing my series on taking these incredible isolated vocal tracks, and I'm doing an analysis, a tutorial, talking about the recording process, a little history on the band. Next up is Triumph. And of course, you guys know the vocalist Rik Emmett, also guitar. And not to say that Gilmore isn't also an amazing vocalist on drums too. But I'm going to focus on Rik today. Now, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to ring the bell so I can keep new cool videos coming your way. I want to dedicate this video to Edward Jans, or Johns. Edward, however you say your last name. He is actually in charge of Rik Emmett's fan club and has also been a really big fan of one of my students, Gabriela Gunchikova. So, Edward, God bless you. This is a shout out to you, and I'm actually doing this for you because you asked me to. Anyway, so Rik, just an amazingly talented guy. Of course, you know the band is Canadian. And back then, there weren't a ton of Canadian bands. Of course, you had Bryan Adams and, all these great bands. But you also had Rush, of course. Saga was actually big at this time. And I remember when I first saw Triumph, they were actually warming up for my cousin, Sammy Hagar. He kind of gave him a little bit of, I think a 3-month tour. I forget exactly what it was. I just remember there being a big car. I think it was the I Can't Drive 55 tour or something. And they were warming up and they just did a killer job. I want to talk a little bit about how Rik uses head voice. Now, we just came off, and I'm not sure when these videos are going to release, but we just did a couple Def Leppard videos. I've talked a little bit about Jeff Tate's vocals. I've talked a little bit about Sebastian Bach's vocals. The reason I'm bringing them up is because they use a lot of head voice or reinforced falsetto they bring down in their chest voice. Rik does the same thing. So I bring that up to say that, if you can master this sound, a lot of people think, right, that I'm just got all this range. No, actually, it's that I've got some range in my chest register, but I've learned how to mix my chest register and have a percentage of that mixed voice on up into head voice, reinforce my head voice falsetto to sound like my to sound like my belting register, which is exactly what Rik does. Also, like I said, Sebastian Bach, all these different singers, and Jeff Tate. So I want to point this out as we're listening to this, and I'm going to be really careful. And I did point out too that when you're using a lot of this kind of head voice register, there can be some pitch issues because it's over bloating the head voice and really putting a lot of pressure of that kind of phonation in the way that the head voice chords are pulled together to get this kind of volume and brightness in the sound. And if you notice too, you can't pull the head voice down that far because you lose power. You have to go back into your chest voice to get that belted register power. And there's a balancing act to all this stuff too. And there's also a balancing act to not losing your head voice when you do this. So let's dive right in. Oh, by the way, I have a singing course. The course is called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at KenTamplinVocalAcademy.com if you're interested. I've got a huge free singing forum over there, guys. Go check it out. A lot of cool people in there all talking about how to do this stuff. All right, here we go. Rik Emmett.
It's the same old story all over again. You turn a lover into just another friend.
Now you turn a lover into just another friend, right? So, again, there's a little bit of slip slidiness in the pitch because it's a hard thing to control. Now, by the way, Rik is awesome. So I'm not here to talk bad smack about Rik. That's not the point. I'm here to do an analysis, a fair analysis, so we can learn to grow from some of this stuff. So he masterfully was able to connect his chest and his head voice to give you a lot of range in what it is that he's about to do. Now, if you put in the track, and I'm going to right now, you don't notice it as much, and that's true for a lot of singers, by the way. It's just we think of them as being, perfect all the time. Even Freddie Mercury, you were listening to a lot of his stuff. I just did a Queen-a-thon. And, it wasn't about perfection. It was about the soul and the spirit and the passion, the energy, the intention, the song, the lyric, how it fits with the music, the melodies, the hauntingness of them or catchiness of them. All right, so check it out with the track.
It's the same old story all over again.
Right, so you hear the same old story all on again, right? We think we're hearing that kind of precision, but it's really this.
It's the same old story all over again. You turn a lover into
you turn a lover in. You turn a lover, right? There's a little bit of swag to it.
You turn a lover into just another friend. I wanna love you, I wanna make you mine. Won't you
See, instead of, oh, won't you, it's, won't you, right? It's pitchy, let's be honest. But in the track, it doesn't matter. And it was more about the vibe for him. I don't think he was going to absolute perfection in this. It was about, you know, and also being able to do this live and replicate this. Like I said, I saw them live and man, they gave Sammy a run for his money. I'll be honest, I don't know who was better that night. As a three-piece coming out like Rush, crushing it like this, it was like, Sam, maybe Sam wouldn't invite him back for the next tour. I don't know.
I wanna love you, I wanna make you mine, won't you?
See, now you can hear it with the track. It doesn't sound quite, you know, as the intonation seems better in the track with the track than without.
I wanna love you, I wanna make you mine, won't you lay it on the line?
Cool.
I'm tired of playing your foolish games. I'm tired.
By the way, you can hear playing your foolish games, right? You can kind of hear that mixed voice come in. Instead of foolish games, it's foolish games. Listen close so you can hear the mixed voice.
Foolish games.
Hear that?
I'm tired of all of your lies making me insane.
Yeah. All of your lies, right? There's some swag. There's some give in the intonation. Let's call it that way.
Games. I'm tired of all of your lies making me insane. Oh, I don't ask for much. The truth will do just fine, won't you?
Now, I could be crazy, and I know I am. That should have been my head spinning around, by the way. Is that a lot of these like three-piece bands and whatnot, even Saga to some degree, seem to go after that Geddy Lee kind of sound. So you probably never put two and two together. Maybe you did. If you're Canadian, of course you probably did. But there's a lot of Geddy in his upper register, and Geddy Lee is another one of those guys that uses a lot of head voice. Listen to it. Think a little Geddy and tell me what you think.
I'm tired of all of your lies making me insane. Oh, I don't ask for much.
Yeah. I don't ask for much. We are the priests of the temple of Syrinx, right?
Oh, I don't ask for much. The truth will do just fine, won't you? Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line.
See, and the cool thing about it is I'm pointing out these imperfections. That's also kind of what's cool about it. It's just real. You know what I mean? It's like raw and real. Like, wouldn't surprise me if most of this was just kind of a take where he just sang it and it maybe did 3 or 4 tries. I like that one, and that one sounds good, and that one works with the band, rather than, you know, every little syllable of every vowel of everything is cut and sliced and placed and auto-tuned, and, you know, it's raw, it's real, it's got carbuncles, but that's also what's really cool about it. So listen to it again, even though I know these harmonies are a little off. Check it out.
Lay it on the line.
See the word on the, is it on the, right, it's got a little chirp in there, but in the track, you don't notice it.
Lay it on the line.
But you do notice it because we're isolating the vocals.
Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line.
That one was better, except the end on the line was a little flat.
On the line. Lay it on the line. Don't waste my time.
Cool. Okay, next coming up, here we go.
You got no right to make me wait. We better talk, girl.
We better talk, girl. I love that, man, it's great.
We better talk, girl, before it gets too late. I never ever thought you could be so unkind. Won't you lay it on the line?
Now, one of the things I think is also really interesting too, because we talked about how hard the pitch is to control when you're in head voice like that. When you're in your upper register, when you're up this high, it's easier to control and there's more power, you get a little more grit and so forth. I want you guys to do me a favor, okay? And again, I'm not recommending people leave my channel to go to see other videos, but it's okay to do that. Like, you know, a lot of people, no, stay here on my channel, don't check anything out. No, I'm not like that. I want you to look at a band called Orion the Hunter. Okay, and this song is called So You Ran, and I want you to listen to it, especially all the way at the end. And of course, there's other bands like TNT that have, you know, had this high range stuff too that sound similar. But I wanna point out how awesome this upper register stuff is. Check this out. Look at this.
We better talk, girl, before it gets too late. I never ever thought you could be so unkind, won't you?
Could be so unkind. Yeah. Right, he's just like crushing it, perfect. And you're gonna hear, so you ran, took the heart of a lonely man. And you're gonna hear, I forget what that guy's name is. It was like Fran, I think Fran something, I forget. But anyway, it was basically members of the band Boston put this, you know, Goudreau and you know whatnot when Brad Delp sort of, I guess, kind of quit the band, and they brought Fran in, and then they wound up doing this other band called Orion the Hunter. So the members, or some of the founding members or main members of Boston, formed this band called Orion the Hunter, and I think his name is Fran, was the singer of this band, and he's just killer. It's amazing that he just did not dominate planet Earth. And there was a lot of really good guys, unsung heroes like that around that time, and I'm glad we're getting to sing Rik's praises right now because it's that awesome. And I just wanted to point out the similarities when you listen back to that stuff, how close these vowels are, because we discussed these vowels in my singing course on how to, hey, right, how to get to those sounds without killing yourself and being able to replicate this night after night.
Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line.
Not to mention that Emmett's a killer guitar player.
Lay it on the line. Don't waste my time.
I'll try not to. Here we go.
You know I love you. You know it's true. It's up to you, girl. Now what I got to do?
Those are some high notes, folks. I don't know. Go back and try that. Here we go. Sorry, I had to do that.
You know I love you. You know it's true. It's up to you, girl. Now what have I got to do? Don't hold me up, girl. Don't waste my precious time. Won't you lay it on the line? Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line.
Now I want to check this out too. With the band, we're kind of missing the energy of the song, and so we get the benefit of a band helping us out a lot, so we're not having like everything is all about us. I know I've used this analogy before, but it's a good one, I think, is if you ever see kind of like a honky-tonk piano player of a guy that's alone in a bar or something, and he's singing and he's playing all the parts, and it's a one-man show, so to speak. You see that honky-tonk piano player, they're overplaying everything. They're playing the bass notes, they're playing the kind of the melodies in it, you know, they're kind of doing some fancy stuff over here. But there's no, like, they're creating all the energy as one person. Well, you can do that as a singer, but it's a lot nicer if it has this kind of class to just do what it's supposed to do in the best kinds of ways, and then let the band do this.
Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line. Lay it on the line. Don't hold me up, girl. Lay it on the line.
Okay, and that's, you know, I mean, this kind of typifies this song, but they just had some absolutely incredible songs. So if you guys don't know about Triumph, if, you know, I know this is an older crowd that would recognize this stuff, but maybe some millennials out there, some people younger don't know the band, please go check out Triumph. They're awesome. They have a lot of really, really good songs. Fight the Good Fight. I mean, some really great stuff. I highly recommend that you check it out, and check out my next video.